everybody.
Hi.
You know who I am, but for the crowd out in the internet land, I'm Jen Hicks, the director of James Street Arts Center. And Jim Bishop comes to us via Christy Rupp. I'm going to do a little introduction. So this show is called Matter Out of Place. And it is 6 solo artists, which 2 of them are here. I'm going to introduce you guys and let you talk to, interject however you'd like. But so the theme of this show is working with material that has been discarded. So whether it's pieces that people found on the beach as rubbish, plastic that's been left in the environment that will be there forever, never, wood that people found, like Renee's found a lot of wood on the street. Elizabeth Keithline works with construction sites. Sabrina Trochet works with objects and then recreates them into different objects, as does Christy Rupp with this beautiful piece behind. We've got Christine Varga and Mimi Young in the back, who also have their own take on working with found materials. So, I hope this will be a little bit interactive, because I don't want to put Jim on the spot. So Jim was introduced to us through Christy, and Jim is we're calling you the trash curator.
Trash and recycling.
Trash and recycling, but you get the lofty term of curator, the art curator.
Okay.
Because, I don't know if you know this, but you're renowned for making interesting things out of trash. And more than one person has told me that. Oh, you have to go to the dump. You gotta go to the dump. Doesn't matter if you go to the dump to dump stuff off. You have to go to the dump because you gotta see what Jim puts together.
Well, I don't actually create anything. I just save things that I think other people will want. And after you do that for a while, you realize what people might want and what they don't want. So Christy is impressed.
I take pictures.
All my giveaway. It looks like a little yard sale over there, but everything's free.
So do you want to sort of do an introduction about how you got connected?
I think it was just noticing the stuff that wasn't thrown away, that was put aside and organized. And there's such a fine line between what is trash and what is still alive.
Yeah.
I kind of think the trash is alive. But I think I started noticing when I really saw you helping other artists, like take things apart, get it into their car.
Yes.
You're really helping people like realize their imagination and this has life. I could use this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started noticing the attraction. And then I would take pictures and I'm sure you don't remember this, but one time you had all this little doll furniture, and I couldn't believe someone threw it away because it was kind of antique.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, I can't leave this here; it might get thrown away, And I took it home, and I think I looked at it for 2 years, and then I brought it back.
I didn't know that. No. Did I give it away again? I hope so.
I wasn't going to throw it away,
So it was on loan.
It was on loan. It was kind of like a library.
Yeah, trash library.
Was it wood or plastic?
It was rattan. It was woven.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it was old.
Oh,
But I'm
somebody else
sure
got it.
I hope so too.
What inspires you to pull things out and rearrange it? Like you could just leave it as it is.
I could. It would probably be easier just to toss it all. And as it gets closer to closing time, sometimes I have to do that. But I don't like to do that because I can see stuff is still good and useful to some people. And I just hate to throw it out if I don't have to.
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, if nobody's taking it, well, I do have a key to the water department garage. So if there's something I think I should save and maybe put it out again next week, or maybe somebody brings in some interesting books or something, maybe it's going to rain that day, so I can't leave it out.
Yeah.
They do allow me to store some stuff in that garage, so I can save it for a sunny day like today and then put it back out again.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff goes. And at the end of the day, sometimes I have to throw out stuff I really don't want to throw out, but I do. I can't leave stuff laying around on the ground because trash piles tend to grow. You know?
Yeah.
If you leave some junk laying around, the piles get bigger, so I have to throw some stuff out. And tables and chairs will come in, so I'll save the tables and set up some of my stuff on it, which Christy knows. And then somebody might want the table. I have to put all the stuff on the ground and give them the table. That happened today actually twice. But that's okay. If they can use it, I love it.
When did your job, first of all, when did you start this?
I've been doing it 3 or 4 years, and the village trash and recycling used to be right over here behind Mirabella's in the parking lot. But we kind of ran out of space over there, and there was a few little fender benders because it was tight. And the village had that yard over off of North Street, and they had some funds that they used to pave it. And so they paved it, and that made a nice yard over there, so they moved that whole operation over there. Now we have a lot more room. But I don't actually work for the village. The village subs out the garbage and the corrugated cardboard to Darren Sweeney. Sweeney Carding, maybe you've heard of him. So I actually work for Darren. I'm not a village employee. Most people think I work for the village, I don't.
When did the job go from being a job to being something like way more than that?
I don't know exactly. It just kind of morphed into it over time. Of course, I take some things home too that I probably shouldn't. Like today, I took a train set home. It's a battery-operated train set. Now, if I can make the locomotive, which is the battery part, if I can make that work, some little kid's gonna love that, you know. Bicycles I usually take home unless they're complete junk, because I'll fix those up a little bit and give them away. And there are other people who do that too. They come in and they place their order. You know, hey, if you get something, save that for me. So I do. I guess I'm getting a reputation.
Are you surprised that people make artwork out of?
Yeah, I didn't know that. That I didn't know at all. That's amazing.
This is all brand new.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
So now I'm going to have to start saving more stuff, really. Even stuff that I don't think is savable. You know, I'm going to save it. I'll show Christy.
Yeah, or you can take things and put them together in unusual ways and think, oh, that chair could be a hat.
Yeah, right. You have to, present things properly.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like that's partly what you do. Is you
I do.
Things.
I move it around, and people have to see it. Otherwise, they're not going to take it.
Yeah. What's the weirdest thing you've ever found?
Well, I don't know if I should say that. Really? Do you really want to know? I'll tell you. All right. Well, cardboard is supposed to go into the corrugated cardboard container, and before the trash container gets full, I have the back doors open so I can walk in there easily. And I saw a box in there. It was a nice looking box. So I said to myself, well, that belongs in the cardboard. So nobody was there. I went in there, and I went to pick up the box, and there was something in it. I said, oh, well, I'll just dump it out. Well, when I dumped it out, it was a dead cat. That is the strangest thing that I've ever got. Yeah, I found it. So anyway,
wow.
I buried the cat out in the woods behind there. Yeah. Some person probably lost their cat, and they couldn't bury it somehow. So that's the weirdest thing I ever got.
Wow.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
Jesus, you think they would give you a little warning?
I know.
Something.
But you imagine if I didn't grab that box out of there, that poor cat would have went into the dump.
Wow.
What's the most common thing that people throw away that they don't want to, that they want you to take, they want you to notice?
Records, pictures,
Oh, yeah.
magazines, and a lot of magazines people don't want. I forget the name of the magazine. We've all had them. Everybody thinks everybody wants them. What's that?
National Geographic.
Yes, that's exactly it. Nobody takes them. I mean, they're great magazines too.
Oh, yeah.
But nobody takes them. I don't know why. So they usually get thrown out. And then I have to take things. Some people just hate to throw things out, so I have to say things like, "Oh, put that over here." I know somebody will take that when I really don't. I might get lucky. Maybe somebody will take it, but a lot of times it gets thrown out. But they leave feeling much better.
Yeah. So you're a psychologist.
I was a truck driver back in my working days, so.
I'm always surprised how many brand new items are there.
Yes.
I mean, I picked up a lamp that went right onto my wall, packaged, unpackaged.
Yep. Had a brand new coffee maker in the box today. Somebody took it.
Yeah.
Wow. I was watching this show about hoarders recently, and they said that there's this order generally of how the hoarders present things. So the worst things are in the front, and the best things are in the back. ever run across a hoarder situation where people, like, are clearing in a house and all of a sudden you get a truckload of stuff that arrives?
Well, my friend and I, before I did this, we used to do junk runs, and that's a lot of work, but you do get a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
And my friend, all he wanted, he's not alive anymore, so it doesn't matter, but all he wanted to do was get the money. His saying always was, just give the people what they want, get their money and go home. But a lot of times people would come out and they didn't want to throw things out, like pictures.
Yeah.
So again, and to not hurt their feelings, I would say, look, I might know somebody who wants them, and I'd sit them on the back of the trailer. Where if he grabbed the stuff, he would just smash it in the trailer. He would go, oh no, Especially artwork. People do not want to get rid of artwork, and I try to give that away. So another way I give away stuff is I own this old trailer up in Cairo, New York that I rent out, and I rent it to a girl. Her father lives right across the street, and he does yard sales every weekend up there. And he says, anytime you get stuff that you don't want or can't get rid of, he said, just bring it up here and I'll sell it. So some of my stuff winds up in actually all the way up to Freehold. And I just took some whole carload of stuff up to him yesterday, actually, because she called me up, said, I got some rent money for you. So I went up there, I loaded up the car, and he was really happy to get all this stuff. So we'll probably sell it, make a few dollars.
I could see something happening, and I'll use an example. I bought a sweater in a secondhand shop in New Orleans. It was a very unusual sweater that somebody made. And I came up here, and I got rid of the sweater. And then I went back to New Orleans and I saw the sweater again. And someone had bought it up here. And it was in New Orleans. And I know it was the exact same sweater. It was the weirdest thing. I was like, what? What's the chances of that? So have you seen?
Did you buy it again?
No, it's just Fabricant.
You would have been caught in the loop.
Yeah, it was like a Twilight Zone thing. Have you guys ever had an experience where you've thrown something out and then you see the thing somewhere else?
I got a sweater at a thrift store up here somewhere, and I went to visit my family on Long Island, and we were having breakfast somewhere, and the waitress said, I had that exact same sweater, and I gave it to, something. I'm like, maybe it was yours. I don't know, but it was very funny too, similar kind of thing,
Yeah.
People often bring me canvases that they don't want to take to the dump. Often. And my only thing is, like, I don't mind you giving me this canvas. I don't want you to be upset if I glue stuff to it or staple stuff to it, because I'm not like preserving everybody's artwork that's brought to me. And one of the artists who did show work at my studio, she died on my birthday, which was really odd. But her son came to me and was like, I really don't want to take these hundreds of canvases. So I took them all, and then I contacted a museum, because she was at the theater for the New City, and she wrote scripts and did all sorts of stuff. So I contacted a museum to see if they wanted it. And they came and picked up like 30 of them. And the rest of them I just sort of, used, like several of the works here are done on Eugenia Maester Story. I don't know, some of you might know her, but she's a really wonderful lady and playwright. And people bring me canvases all the time, framed prints all the time. And I just, almost like a depot, little bit too much, very hoardy. But fortunately I have an expansive space and places to tuck stuff and lots of things. Like I get lots of playboys, vintage playboys. People know that I'm doing artwork with them, so they'll bring me Grandpa's stack. And I get to have it.
Oh, remember that.
Yeah. Bargain Gallery takes all the vintage, not really 80s on, but vintage. And it's I have somebody right now who's like, his collector gave me his artwork saying that he had used it as a backdrop for his Beatles cover band, and that I could have it. He got a divorce and he didn't want it anymore. And it covered the whole stoop. It was big. It was like I couldn't even get in my door. And I had it for years and years, and then finally I was like, oh, that's the Daphne Guinness one. I was gonna ask about that one. That artist is very upset. And I'm like, I feel really bad. And I haven't responded to any of his stuff, but his collector was like, it's here or the dump. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll take this canvas. And I had it for a long time. I Scott Cronin, who just moved to North Carolina, just brought me about 100 of his canvases because he didn't want to throw them away. And it's got, you know, a layer of paint on it.
Can they be reused?
Yeah, that's what I tell people. I'm like, I don't mind taking it.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna put stuff on it.
Yeah.
And I hope you're not gonna be upset by that.
Yeah.
And some artists are, and some artists aren't. I totally understand, but you know, like there's a part about churning things instead of letting them go to the dump.
Yeah.
You know, like diverting from the dump to me is like a major thing. Just
But
because
with Jim though, you're an interesting
You're there.
area.
I-
So you can go to the dump, but then it's like this holding pattern
Yeah.
or holding place for
Yeah.
all you guys to go and
I
adventure.
had friends who rented an apartment and they didn't have any furniture, and I said, okay, Thursday, let's go out. And we drove around in
Yeah.
garbage and all shift the furniture their apartment from the garbage, all
Oh, yeah.
collected everything.
Yeah.
Andy Warhol will come every weekend to the 26th Street Flea Market. And they used to say that I saw him there all the time, and he will scan the tables and pick up. He basically collected mostly cookie jars, but other stuff. When he died, his loft, he was right by Union Square, close to where I. His old place was still, the stuff was still in the beds. He didn't even open them. It just accumulated.
Yeah.
It was a real, the old place was stuff from the flea market.
Yeah.
So what do you think they did with that?
They probably took it, well, no,
Maybe it's
they
in the
it kept it the
Pittsburgh.
Warhol Foundation maybe as like some sort of
Right.
insignia.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I mean, you know, that's the thing is like when somebody has to get rid of their collection, it's like the Swedish death cleanse. Someone's gonna throw it out.
Right.
Someone's gonna throw it out eventually.
Yeah, I heard, like my dad died in 2014 and we had this massive yard sale of all of this stuff and people kept saying, oh, no one wants brown furniture. No brown furniture. And we couldn't get rid of it. And then all of a sudden, now people are buying brown furniture and painting it.
Painting it, the things they do with furniture right now is really amazing. And also the people's thinking changing to wanting to go thrifting as opposed to buying something that's been manufactured by children. You know, like thank God people are waking up to the levels of waste that there is and everything.
So Jim, do you see a difference between generations with what people throw out?
Never really thought of that, yeah. I don't know. Really don't.
It just seems like my generation, baby boomers, have too much stuff. We just
Yeah, oh, that's true.
spent our life acquiring it, the first 2/3 and last third getting rid of it all. But I wonder if you grew up in a household like that, if you have less stuff. And so maybe you're throwing out more.
Yeah, it could be. The way I get most of my stuff, unfortunately, is when somebody's parents die. They just want to get rid of the stuff. And they really would not rather throw it out, so they really love me because they know I'll put it out and maybe somebody will take it, you know, and they feel better when they leave. And a lot of times, it's a lot of good stuff.
It's a guilt thing, you relieve them of the guilt.
A little, yeah.
Of it going into land, knowing that it's going to go
Yes.
into landfill.
I wish there were a form or a way for us to share our lumber. I just finished a big project and I have lots of lumber left over and it's under my porch. And I know everybody else has piles of lumber. I mean, it's a shame we can't collectively, have access to lumber from all of our projects.
Well,
Isn't
sometimes
there
I'll
a
leave.
place in Ulster County now?
What's that?
Isn't there a repurposed,
Yeah,
Repurposed
lumber.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
in Ulster
The
County?
restore.
What is it called?
Restore.
The Restore.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if they take lumber though, but I just.
Furniture.
Oh, furniture, yeah. But I just learned recently that wood is the rarest material on earth.
What does that
And
mean?
that means like it's like the most finite resource that we have, wood specifically.
And
And
it dies.
well, and it also
burns.
is, constantly growing, but it's very, as much as we think it's like endless, it's not. And I don't know where I read that, but it just sort of lodged in my head, because James is a carpenter and he's always like, has a burn pile going. I'm like, I can glue something to that stuff. Like the amount of times I've taken his burn pile to my studio is probably like at least 30, at least. Can you burn this? Sure. And then in the car. can't burn it. And that's the same reason, you know, like, I think that you probably have that same thing of like, don't throw it away. It's still meaningful. It has a purpose. There's something, almost I feel like, even if this is like a hologram, we're doing the best we can with the everything that flows into our life. And I think that's probably what, you know, you try to make something with everything.
So I have a question for everybody, for you. What do you think about gifting somebody a piece that you find in a dump or something like that? Is that insulting, or is it a
I've never
good
done
thing?
that,
Or
but-
what do you think? What do you think about
I
that?
would.
You would.
Sure.
I think you'd have to preface by saying, I bothered you, it came into from
I
the
found
dump.
this.
Right.
I found this, yeah.
And it depends on the recipient. So
Yeah, I thought of you when I saw this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would work.
I
So
think
we
that's a
do
nice
this at
way.
our house all the time. Whenever I find something in the free pile that I think Violet might like, I'm like, I got you something.
I mean, as long as it's not like a furniture thing that's too bad. As long as it's safe and clean out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's better than the particle board and plastic and everything, the formaldehyde.
The new stuff is
New stuff.
you put it together and that's okay as long as you don't move it. But once you move it
Yeah.
a couple times, it
Just a
starts to
couple
fall
times,
apart.
it's like nothing's,
If I get anything solid, I do not throw it out because somebody always wants it.
yeah.
I'm afraid to die.
You what?
Because I'm afraid what I'm gonna leave after me. I know my daughter, no, my friend actually, I have a whole collection of American art pottery. I've been collecting that since I came to this country. I fell in love with the shapes and stuff. So my whole loft is just American art pottery. And somebody asked Danielle, what are you gonna do with all those pottery when your mother is gone? I'm gonna have a yard sale and sell everyone for 25 cents. Okay, we are in line already. You know, that, you don't know. I think in the Scandinavian, people really, when they get a certain age, that's what I read, is they are cleaning up. They don't want to leave it to their children, so they start cleaning
That's
up.
the Swedish death cleanse.
So they don't leave their children on their chazerai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until their children realize, like, oh, what happened to that thing that I loved when I was 6? Oh, where did it go?
There's a real famous cartoon in the New Yorker where a father's with a son and he's opened his garage door. There's a bicycle, there's books, there's magazines, furniture, it's packed all the way to the top. And he says to his son with his hand around his shoulder, he says, someday this is all going to be.
Probably got the scared look on it.
She says to me, no, thank you. I don't.
But you have good stuff.
Yeah,
That's
but you know, I worked for an art publisher when I was a student, and he never paid me. He gave me art. So, okay, so I have that drawing of a musician, you know, but it's like a single
One
one
line.
line. And she says, Mom, I really love it, but can I have it? I said, Danielle, let me enjoy it. When I die, it's yours. You will enjoy it. I want to enjoy it, but no, I collected during the years, yes. But now I'm stuck with all that.
Jim, could you say more about things that move and things that don't move?
Yeah, well, I have a woman who takes every piece of artwork I get. Not that I get any really good artwork, but I get a lot of pictures, a lot of frames. Her name is Blue, and she always tells me whatever pictures you get, whatever. And what she does with all this stuff, I don't know. But she'll take all that stuff. And what was your question?
Well, just either way, like stuff that people think is going to move that doesn't move, or stuff.
Well,
that
people
does.
think you can give away used bedding or pillows and stuff like that.
No.
It does not go.
Yeah.
You know, I may put it out, but I know that I'm going to throw it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Books, people don't want to give away books, and I can maybe give away about half the books that soft-covered books are recyclable, so I can just toss them in the recyclable bin at the end of the day. Hard-covered books, unless you take the hard covers off, cannot go into the recyclable bin. And by the way, I was noticing Ulster County Resource Recovery has a website, and there's a lot of good information on there about recycling. And what we're doing here where I work is good, but I mean, it's only scratching the surface, really. It could be a lot, it could be better.
You had a question about plastics too.
Well, yeah, I did wonder, like plastics is such a nuanced issue because, you know, recycling doesn't really is actually recycled.
Is that right?
And yet, people think when they separate their trash that that's all they have to do. And I like to call it plastic heaven when you pass it off to someone else. And yeah, it's also called wish cycling.
Right.
I think this is gonna get recycled and turned into like a yoga mat or something. And yeah, so I was curious, like, I feel very relieved when I dump my bin of plastics into the.
It does get recycled. It all goes to Ulster County
It
Resource
makes me
Recovery.
happy. I know, but they don't really actually, we don't really have the technology yet to actually use most of it because.
Probably true.
So I wonder if you'd, next week, on Saturday, the 25th, will be a really great movie. No, it's an event, it's not a movie. At the Orpheum with Beyond Plastics.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh.
And, yeah, people are interested in this, they should come to the event, there's still a few seats left.
Yeah, I think we've got information over there about it.
And Beyond Plastics really gets into the nuts and bolts of why things can't be mixed together. And this is actually number 2 or number 1.
Right?
It's the only thing that really is recyclable because I can't even see the number on this.
But it's cap stuff, I believe, right?
What?
The cap, I don't
Is
think
not.
is.
And they actually
No.
can't deal with anything smaller than a baseball. So you really are better off throwing this stuff in the garbage because it just comes up the machines. But yeah, like, plastic, there's so many different kinds. There's chemicals in it that make it elastic or colored or light-proof or, just consumer friendly. Yeah, that like, I've been collecting this stuff for years. But so little of it is really, it's just these number 2s and number 5s. And I'm in trouble that I can't find the number on this. That are really recyclable.
See, all I do is look for the triangle. I don't know what the numbers in the triangle
Yeah, well,
mean at all. I
exactly.
probably should, but I don't.
Do you know the origin story of the triangle?
No.
So that was actually come up with by the American Plastics Council as a response to being a bad guy. And it's really just decoration.
Yeah.
It's a branding thing.
It's classic wish cycling to me. So,
Wish cycling is a nice way of saying
It really is a great term.
but,
the corporate, the guilt of not recycling when really it's a futile thing that you're doing. I mean, you're just telling us the science of it, but like really, it's hardly at all. And we do not deserve, nor have we earned that guilt of that plastic usage. That's fully on corporate shoulders and the plastics industry, and they know it. And they know they're creating something that's bad for the planet. I tell my children all the time, it was in the Overlook article, do we really need that? That's gonna choke a whale. In about 20 years, that's gonna choke a whale. And I put the guilt on them of the ridiculous consumption of the little plastic Chinese-made car or trinket or whatever, to say this is not just a little something that you're buying. This has it's gonna be around for hundreds of years and it's gonna interfere with nature. And it's not our fault, it's the corporate industry's fault.
no,
And I really think that
producer
we should go to
responsibility.
Well, it's
Yes,
our
that's the
fault
way to
by
do it.
purchasing.
Well, yeah,
It is our
exactly.
fault.
Yeah, but
What
we
you
don't have a
buy.
choice. Everything's overpackaged. You
Yeah.
don't have a choice. It
Oh,
comes in the
You have
packaging.
some choices,
Yeah.
certainly not all. But
Styrofoam is my least favorite thing.
Oh, my
because
God.
it goes in the ground and I get a lot of it and it just fouls up the garbage container.
Yeah. No.
It also depends on what state or where you are in the world
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
'Cause for a really long time, my aunt was down in Philly, and she would collect all of her recycling because then she'd bring it to her mom's house when she would come up to New York because they didn't have any recycling in
Oh.
Philly
Like
for the
water.
longest time.
Yeah.
No recycling whatsoever. So everything went in the trash, and she was like, "I feel awful doing this. Like I can't do it." So it depends. Also, I know in Europe they actually the caps stay attached to the bottle, so it doesn't get detached in any way in Europe, and it confused the hell out of me when I went over there a year ago or so, because I didn't understand. But they passed a law where the cap had to physically stay on the bottle. So it's again entirely dependent on where you are in the world, what state you're in, what place you are. And that's why I think it's fascinating that I feel like one of a kind, because I haven't heard of anybody kind of going, well, this is still usable. This is still,
Yeah.
somebody could participate in reusing this again kind of
Yeah.
thing. Someone's gonna love it, so that's
Reusing.
why I think it's great that this is a one-of-a-kind thing that I've heard of so far. At
Yeah,
least.
I've seen, like, has anybody seen the flip flops that they've made out of plastic bottles?
Oh wow.
That I think it's Africa, maybe, I
Yeah,
don't know,
yeah.
where, but they make flip flops out of that. And then there's some young male scientist in Africa that apparently has made something that converts the plastic back into gasoline, and then it can be used to fuel cars, and he somehow does that with the plastic and heat or the sun or something. I'm not exactly sure, but there's some in Japan. They're developing the plastics that are biodegradable in 6 months. So there's some directions that we're going that are acceptable, but the plastic and the styrofoam is just not.
Well, acid rain was stopped with legislation when no one thought it could be stopped. It was just in the air, and nobody controlled the air.
Coal plants, basically, right? Coal plants.
Well, yeah, obviously it's got a source.
Yeah.
And so beyond plastics, that's their tackle. The solution is legislation.
Well, the fluorocarbons too, the ozone layer has been largely eliminated because fluorocarbons were largely eliminated in the 80s.
I mean, that was on hold.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, these can be fixed. It's not, I mean, the hopelessness is intentional because it's,
Yeah.
obviously we can kind of do anything we want. We lived without plastics before.
Yeah,
We
for
lived without the
so long.
fluorocarbons before.
For so long.
And you
Yeah.
can buy shampoo that's a bar of soap.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
need to buy a plastic
Oh,
container.
yeah.
You can buy laundry detergent that says it doesn't have any plastic
Yeah.
around it, and dish detergent, and toothpaste tablets that come in a glass jar. There's many ways where you can do it every single day in your home that will help keep it out of Jim's
Great.
But this poor guy have a job.
Yeah. That's right. I
That
gotta
would be
retire
good,
pretty soon.
right?
Yeah, pretty old to do it.
I'm going to kind of wrap up a little bit, but does anybody have any last questions? I know he's been working all day. So
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but we were late. Can you just restate a little bit where you're kind of working out of?
Well, I work over at the Village Yard. It's trash and recycling.
Okay.
It's off of North Street, across from Price Chopper.
Right, okay.
Actually, out behind Bob Saracasano's
Okay,
Chrysler
okay.
place. And like I said, that's the Village Yard. I don't actually work for the village. The village subs out the trash and corrugated cardboard to Darren Sweeney. Maybe you heard of him, Sweeney Carding.
Yeah.
By the way, Sweeney is very good at picking up garbage and all that. His prices are good, but he doesn't recycle, so that turns a lot of people off. But anyway, that's who I work for. I work for Darren.
Got it, okay, thank you.
And the village takes care of all the recycling. I keep an eye on the recycling for them just because I'm there. I wouldn't be doing anything else anyways.
What would it take to get organic or composting for the village?
I don't know much about composting, but you would have to talk to the mayor or the village board. I don't know if that would work or not. Most people who come to that yard are great, probably 95%. But then you get people that are going to just throw things all over the place and skip out. And if you had a compost pile that wasn't watched, I think people would probably put stuff on it or in it that didn't belong, and now you're going to have a mess. So I don't know if that's going to work or not because I can't watch everything.
Right, well, it's a labor, you put a lot of work into keeping what you do orderly.
Yes,
And it
but that's
takes-
about all I can do.
It takes effort.
There is some of that going on at the Big Dip place in Kingston.
But it's a good idea.
Accra,
What's that?
Accra,
Is that what?
Ulster, what is it?
Oh, I don't know.
UCRRA.
Yeah,
Ulster County Resource Recovery.
yeah, and you can go get like a truckload of compost. Yeah, and you could bring stuff.
You can do it on 212 too.
Oh, yeah?
That's technically Saugerties.
I have one question. Has any of this inspired you to make any art?
No. I just told somebody that I know nothing about art. When I went to St. Mary's School, Catholic school, my parents sent me to for 6 years. And then they sent me over to the high school. Well, I guess we got a good education in Catholic school, but we didn't know a thing about art. So in 7th grade, I can't remember the name of the teacher, he wanted the students to draw a picture of a human being. Well, I drew a stick figure because I didn't know any better. And he thought I was being a wise guy and I was in trouble. But Way back then, I didn't know anything about art, and I still don't know anything. No, I mean,
But you
I
had a
appreciate,
hangman.
there are pictures that I like, you know, I appreciate that. But I know nothing about it. Like I said, I was a truck driver for most of my life. And I got lucky. If you were 55 and you had 35 years in, you could retire early. So I did, and I've had all kinds of little jobs since. But this is my favorite right here. Because I get to talk to a lot of people.
Well, I was gonna say, it really surprises me how social it is.
Yeah, I know.
It's like a big yard sale.
It is.
And you see your neighbors.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
I know, I get people talking and then the yard gets jammed up, you know,
Yeah.
you gotta get moving.
I
But
think-
it's a good job.
I think one of the things that I'm hearing too, though, is that maybe you are an artist, and I'm gonna say you are an artist, and not a maybe, and you just didn't even know it. By just this deciding objects and making choices and putting
Well,
it together in a
maybe,
certain
yeah.
way. It's a, oh, my dog's
You're certainly,
Yeah.
like, have outside the norm for appreciation. of
Yes.
things.
I think so.
You're
It's sort of
Yeah.
like-
Yeah, it doesn't have to be overthought or
Right.
some heavy thing that you have to go to bazillion years of school to learn. It's really like something that you see that you think is interesting, and you put it together and you like it.
Mhm.
And
I can't wait to go to see Jim.
I didn't see that.
The parties.
Yes.
And then I go like this. Hi, Jim.
You know, I don't work for the mayor, but he comes in. I do pick up the mayor's recycling for him over at his house, and he brings me a coffee and a donut or something. But he'll see all this stuff, what she calls junk, laying around. You know, you got to clean this up.
No,
Don't
I
worry about a
want
thing.
it.
It'll all be taken care of before I leave. You know.
I put my hand up, I say, don't let me look, Jim, don't let me.
Oh, a lot of people are like that. Don't show me. I don't need anything at home. Don't show me. And I'll say, look at this.
Because
No,
I
don't
want
wanna see
it all.
it. I have to, you know.
Jim, I wanted to say, I really appreciate how kind you are to people who
Yeah.
have trouble letting go.
Yes.
And you know, I do watch Hoarders sometimes, and they have people, you know, playing the role you play, and they're psychologists, you know, and they help the people let go of things.
Mhm.
And you're doing that, and
Yeah,
you're
that's
playing
true.
that role.
As I got older, I think it's good to be kind. That's all
It
I'm saying.
is,
That's
and
A lot of
thank
people who
you.
come in here are old.
Wish the rest of the world would.
It's just good to be kind.
Thank you for
It
that
doesn't take a whole lot of
service.
effort, and it's better than the
Yeah.
alternative.
We really need it right now.
Thanks, appreciate it. My
Well,
own little thing.
you're welcome to hang out. We've got some snacks, refreshments.
Thank you.
Well, this was great.
I'm not a public speaker, but I'm glad to pass along what I do. Thanks.
And what days are the dumps open? What days is everything?
Saturday and Wednesday. Saturday 7 to 1, Wednesday 7 to 2.
Hi.
You don't know how many times I've said that. Each little container has a sign on it, but I gotta say 100 times, where does this go? Right over there.
All right.